I'm already in the 420, damn it!
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You like music, you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is how much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiba grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show. On Lifestyle Radio.
Hola.
Hola.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
I'm eating brownies.
He's eating brownies. Okay, Marcel, but he never shows us his brownies. But anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry's here. Hi, Jerry. Now we're going to play Let's Spell Jerry's Last Name.
Good evening, everybody from New Orleans. Spell it.
N-E-W.
What? What was it? Say that again.
I was starting to spell it. You said spell it. It was from New Orleans.
I-T.
No, N-E-W.
Marcel.
I was going to look for a picture of brownies.
A picture of brownies.
Well, that's what you said.
A picture of brownies. So
I got this beauty right here, and then I've got a cookie right behind me, which I'm going to get in a little bit.
So let me ask you a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Jerry is a former police officer for the New Orleans Police Department, correct?
Yes, sir.
And how would they feel about if you were still on the job medicating with cannabis these days?
I can tell you this. I mean, if anything, it's something that I myself, I mean, especially after all of the knowledge that I have, and I mean, it's something that I'll go into, you know, when the time's right. But I think when you get off the job, you know, ETOD, when you end your tour of duty, I think you should be able to smoke. Because from what I understand, I think that in Canada, some areas, is that correct or not, where you can actually
48 hours before you go.
Some of them are 30 days.
Oh, wow.
So if you have a puff, you've got to wait 30 days before you can go back to active duty.
So, especially if you're a pilot.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, so to answer your question, Al, the bottom line is, I mean, now, no, indeed. I mean, if anything, you know, it's just alcoholism is a problem on a majority of your police departments, along with police suicides, and it's something that they'll never address. I mean, it's kind of like, oh, well, you know, collateral damage of the job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just like marriages, you know.
Just like what?
Just like marriages,
yeah.
There's a lot of divorce in the police department.
Yeah.
Do they do active drug testing of your police forces?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, what it is.
That's unconstitutional in Canada.
Not here. I mean, what they'll do is they'll have like a lottery and pull your name out the hat, and then you've actually got to go down within 45 minutes and submit to a urine test.
Wow.
And you just taught me something. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, but you've got to go down there and submit to a TT test, you know?
Unreal.
Yeah.
It really, that really is unreal. I mean, so it's okay to use it, but you can't use it if you're going to be working, period.
Correct.
But yet, I don't. It's an old argument that is going to never. I mean, there are careers out there when you have to remain focused, flying a plane, being a police officer, driving a bus, things like that when you're working. But when you're on your off time, I get the concern, but I would rather see a high guy walking down the street with a gun strapped to his side than a drunk guy.
Oh yeah.
I agree. I agree. Well, let me tell you all this. When I was on a department, I bet you easily 75% of the domestic calls that I went on involved alcohol.
Yeah.
Easy.
You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, if anything, and I'm sure y'all are the same way, but you know, it's like I tell everybody, I believe in choice. You know, whatever vice you might have, that could be gambling, you know, alcohol, whatever your choice is, okay?
Prescription drugs is probably a big one as well.
Well, but I mean, if anything, and that's where the ignorance comes in, and I don't know whether or not, and I'll kind of give like an overview of my story, but, you know, I was on Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I said please do. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you, Al. So, you know, born and raised in New Orleans, joined a police department from 1994 to 01. And, you know, went to my doctor and he told me, he said, you know what, you just don't have the strength anymore in your shoulder. I had 2 shoulder surgeries. But before that, what happened with me? I started on Taliesin, which is a pain pill. And then eventually I went from, Taliesin, Darvocet, Vicodin, MS Contin, and I graduated to OxyContin and Percocet, and, you know, all hell broke loose. And well, before I moved to Colorado, I went through Katrina, and, you know, my addiction just continued to get worse and worse. And I was a heavy drinker. And then the other thing too, is that when I couldn't get the pills, then I switched to cocaine, and I had a $400 a day habit. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, you know, addiction is addiction, and the bottom line is that you don't want to be dope sick.
You know what? I think my mom would not be angry if I told this story, because she's gone now, and it might help somebody. My mom was a professional education vice principal, and she got addicted to Ritalin because it helped her stay awake as she was getting older, and not feel scared, and all the things that go along with pills, you know. And it took, she lived with me for a year after that. It took her a long time to get back into the swing of things. And it can happen to anyone. I know people from all different walks of life that have been addicted to perks and cocaine and all these other things. So it's not a lifestyle thing. It's it becomes a necessity, I guess, to people, right?
No, I mean, believe it or not, I agree with you completely. And I think what it was with me is that when I moved to Colorado in 07, and that's when I graduated to OxyContin and Percocet. And it's like I tell everybody, OxyContin is nothing more than synthetic heroin. That's why people who get cut off their pills eventually switch to heroin. And then nowadays, as we know, with everything with, you know, fentanyl being laced into heroin and people dying like crazy. So what it was with me is that, you know, I lost my marriage at 24 years and 4 months. I was institutionalized for 5 weeks on an outpatient basis. I received my divorce papers, and it was right before then, I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. So that's when I walked into Maggie's Farm, and by then there was full recreational in Colorado. And I walked in, spoke to the bud tender, and I said, you know, this is what's going on, because my doctor told me after my second shoulder surgery, he said, you know what? He said, there's no reason for you to be on these pills. He says, you're going to get off of them. And that's when I brought up weed. And he's like, hey, I'm going to start weaning you off. I'm not going to cut you down cold turkey. He says, but, you know, this is for you to get your body clean of these pills. Walked into Maggie's Farm, like I said, spoke to the bud tender. And he said, I tell you what, you know, here's sativa in the daytime if you want a low hybrid in the afternoon, and at nighttime, indicas for pain. And before you know it, I mean, I got into a regimen of working out every day, and I still do. I walk like 3 to 4 miles a day. I feel good. And I'll be 6 years clean next month on my birthday. So,
Congratulations.
yeah, and I quit drinking 4 years. Last month, May of 2018 is when I quit drinking altogether. So I feel so much better. I mean, if anything, but it seems to me like it's something that makes you feel good. They want to keep it illegal. I mean, it's such bullshit.
I remember you had just started your whole regiment in that when we first had you on the show. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Well, I mean, I've only been back in New Orleans now 5 years, since January 2017. But Al, I can tell you this. I mean, it's just the idea that if I wouldn't have lived in Colorado, and I truly mean this, I'd probably be dead right now. Because
is it easy to get in New Orleans? Is it legal there now?
They've got a medical program, but the only problem is that really it's a ripoff, man. I mean, you've got two universities that have monopolized the system through the legislature. There's people making big money off of this program. And like, let's see, 3.5 grams of weed, you're looking at like $65. I mean, that's a ripoff, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if anything.
And your guys and your patients can't grow it, eh?
No, there's no home grow, anything like that. And what it is, it's, a monopolized system. And you've got LSU, that is one of the growers. And then you also have Southern University. But this is the thing that's really going to blow you away. Here, they call them pharmacies and not dispensaries. They've only got 9 pharmacies here. 9.
Wow.
You can call it whatever you want, but if you can't access it, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, really.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean, if anything, and I mean, I'll tell anybody, I'm not a patient here. I mean, I'm supporting the underground market, because I mean, fuck, I can't afford that. I mean, it's a ripoff to people. And the thing that gets me is, you know what? I'm a firm believer in this, is that, so this is what, it's like I tell people all the time. I said, you know what? Cannabis is the crime of the century. And let me tell you how I went ahead and I found out. Not only because of my story, but my ex-wife was diagnosed with stage 2 stomach cancer in October 2015. She went to the oncologist. She had stage 2 stomach cancer. The oncologist agreed that she could try nothing but nutraceuticals, no chemotherapy, no radiation. And by August 2016, I brought her in for a colonoscopy. She was given the all clear. And I spoke to her recently, and this August, she'll be 6 years in full remission.
Wow.
And that's it. I mean, if anything, it's just the idea that, if these fuckers in DC, man, I mean, corrupt to the bone, and they know it has medicinal value, but what it all boils down to is that America has become a corporation and they want to control everything. And it's like I tell people, I said, you know what? You should be able to grow seriously as much as you want. And I wanted to clarify, but even when I was on a police department, and it's in my article in the New Orleans Advocate, if anybody wants to look it up under my name, I never believed in the war on drugs bullshit. I mean, that's a bunch of silliness. Those are laws that are put on the books because of morality. It's against what they believe in. And it, to me, I mean, it's completely immoral for people not being able to have access to this plant and grow as much as you want, I
see. I chuckle when I watch cop shows, and the younger cops are like, that's cannabis. But the older cops are like, like it's like, because they know that that's not the big deal. The big deal is the other shit, and it should be that way.
Sure.
It's ridiculous. The motives are fucked up. Right?
Well, let me share a story with you, okay? So I get back to New Orleans And, you know, I've known people like yourself from all walks of life. Okay. I worked construction, waited tables, tended bar. But my main thing that I did before I joined our department is I actually managed a pool hall for like 10 months. Okay. And I even went into pool halls. I mean, if you really want to get a good education, just go to any big major city pool hall in this country. And believe me, you will learn a lot. Okay. So I walk into a place where I used to frequent before I left. I get back. There's a guy I know that I've known since like the mid 80s, big time. Okay. Drug dealer. And I knew him, you know, pre-department, ran into him obviously post-department. And I said, Henry, man, I thought you went ahead and you got life. He said, no, man. He said, oh God, Jerry, don't tell me you blew your marriage. I said, yeah, you know, 24 years and 4 months down the drain. He said, okay, sit down here. I said, okay. And we never had a talk like this. I said, well, man, I thought you got, you know, life in a can. He goes, nope. He said, my last bit of savings that I had saved up, he said, my last bus cost me $300,000. 100,000 of that had to go to the judge, 200,000 to the attorney. And he said, I bought 5 years for my conviction, you know? He said, otherwise, he says, I was going to do life, you know? Yeah. And, you know, I mean, if anything, so what it all boils down to is, you know, it's money driven. Everything now is money driven. You know, the courts, the judges, the fines, parole, probation, all of that shit, and all of the buildup with mass incarceration under the Violent Crime Control Law Enforcement Act that Biden authored. And believe me, I don't like either party. Okay, so the bottom line is that, like Marcel also said a little while ago, but you know, everything now, this is something that's been building. And people now, I think, have finally or hopefully awoken and realized that everything's corrupt now. Everything is money driven, you know? And America has literally two things. America's a corporation and America has commodified its society. And that's the problem, you know? Plus, America is something that I titled, and it pushes what I call a hustle culture. You know, in order to become successful, you got to have the big home and the cars and all that shit, you know? But I think a lot of the kids today are starting to realize that, you know what, they really don't want a lot of that shit. They really want simplicity and guidance, man. And that's why I think everything's in a tizzy the way it is today, you know?
That might be because things are so fucking expensive for them now. They can't buy it. So they find other ways, like we did, Marcel, when we were older or younger. And I don't know how old you are, Jerry, but I mean, I'm 58. I grew up in Toronto in the 60s and 70s, which was an awesome place. And it was different. We were in when the lights went on the poles, and, you know, where are the kids out back in the park, not playing?
We had better pot too.
And we had better pot too.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, if anything, and that's just it. I mean, it kind of, you know, my childhood, I mean, I'm 53. But I mean, I look back on growing up in New Orleans in the 80s, and believe me, I mean, it was, you know, it was more simplistic. It really was. And like you were saying, when the lights came on at night, your behind was inside.
Yep.
But these kids today, I mean, especially in New Orleans, I mean, you got kids today, I mean, who are committing, I mean, hardened felony crimes at 13, 14, 15. And you know, and they're packing AK-47s, AR-15s. I mean,
kids that don't even know how to use guns are carrying guns.
Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, if anything, so nowadays, and that's why, like you were saying, I mean, Marcel, everything today is out of whack because of, let's say, 60 years of building, 40 years, whatever you want to call it. But I hate to see where we're headed. That's the thing that concerns me, you know?
All I can say is that we're not heading to a good place in any time in the near future.
I am. It's called Terrace Bay. It's way the fuck up in the north end of Ontario. I'll see you there.
Yeah.
Very nice. So tell me,
Yeah.
what are y'all feeling over there? I'm talking about what's going on in Canada. I mean, if you have any questions about America, by all means.
What's going on with Canada? Well,
China. China. Yeah, I was going to say, Lenny, do you want to fill in on that one?
We're the next China. Communism.
well, hey, Jerry, meet Lennie. Lennie is our resident pharmacist. He is a real pharmacist. He's also with Trail Cannabis, which is an LPer here in Nova Scotia, a legal provider.
Nice to meet you, sir, Lenny.
Nice to meet you. Just FYI, I have no camera on tonight, guys, because I left my. I was at the warehouse cleaning today.
He's not wearing his toupee.
No, I just don't want to. Oh, I'll put it on for a second.
I'm just kidding.
You were cleaning at the warehouse?
Camera up for like hours.
Oh,
that's all. It's just on my phone. That's why I have no video on tonight. Yeah, I don't know, but no, Canada. They just don't even realize it right now. It's just giving our rights away. COVID, we gave our rights away for unreal. Violated our charter rights. But everyone was so fucking scared of a fake. Well, not fake. I shouldn't say fake, but they lost perspective.
How about
what's important?
An overly embellished hoax? No.
Listen. I think. Listen. I think it was a very serious virus for some people, and dangerous. But like humans are like, and we're adults. We're educated people. We can make choices for ourselves, for our families. There's no government right, and look at California was just as fucked up as Canada, especially. Like you can't tell people they're not allowed to work or make a living or travel within their state or country or province. Like fuck off.
You can't.
That's China. That's China.
Yeah, communism.
Yeah, that's not fucking Canada or the United States, and I just can't believe people just accepted that so easily.
Well, some of us didn't. That's the thing. Is some of us saw this for what was coming, and we tried to tell everybody, but we were called conspiracy theorists and idiots, and we have no fucking idea what we're talking about. Now, and I unfortunately have a lot of friends that got jabbed. Now I've got so far 3 funerals, 2 others that are morbidly sick. And these people were all healthy people, but they all thought they were doing the right thing because CBC told them to, and CNN, and
don't forget the other 2, Marcel.
Oh no, they're all there. They're mainstream media literally proved that propaganda is still alive and well today as it was during World War II.
Oh, yes.
There's no difference. Propaganda that was used in World War II is being used again now.
Thank you for rephrasing that, Marcel.
What's that?
Usually you bring the Nazi word in there.
No, I'm not bringing the Nazi word in because this has nothing to do with Nazi. This is basically using mainstream media to get an agenda across.
Mm.
The Germans did it. The Americans did it. The Canadians did it. The Americans and the Canadians are still doing it. That's just all they did is they changed the tune.
That's because
to a different
lot
flavor.
Of people are watching.
Well, no, it's because people have been conditioned.
That's what I mean. A lot of people are watching. They hear what they hear. You know, when you hear the commercial, "Don't light that cigarette, it's going to kill you." You take that for granted as oh yeah, okay. But when you watch that package on your cigarette of the crusty lungs and that. Do you have to have pictures on your cigarette packs there, Jerry?
No, we
No,
sure don't.
so
I mean, they've got the Surgeon General warning, but that's
we've got
it.
warnings, yes, but we've got pictures of.
We have graphic photos. Of cancer patients and things like that.
So every time you reach for a deterrent, so every time you reach for a smoke, you see the picture and you're like, bleh, right? Sorry if that made anybody. If I sit here and go, bleh,
Here, I'm looking at a label right now, and it's a nice big cloud of smoke, and it says, "Where there's smoke, there's hydrogen cyanide." Well, there's also carbon monoxide. There's also carbon dioxide. I mean, there's all kinds of things there, but yeah.
Hey,
a lot of dioxides out there.
Hey,
yet your government still sells it.
Yeah, but hey, Lenny, you grew up in Pictou County, and you're still fine.
Why? Because of the pulp mill?
Yeah. All them carcinogens that crazy thing was pumping out over the years.
I miss the smell.
Oh, you got to think about it though.
I'm going to smell that smell when I'm up north because there's a mill right in town.
We live in Atlantic Canada, and Atlantic Canada is the armpit of North America. And I learned this back when I was in junior high school.
You've just offended the whole province, buddy.
But it's true, and I'll tell you why.
Even virtually, we kind of seem like the armpit, really.
Yeah,
it does look like that.
What happens is all of the airborne industrial pollution coming from the U.S. Midwest.
Well, it's like storms, right? You get all
and
the
Western Canada.
Crap and
all pushes into Atlantic Canada, where it sits over Atlantic Canada until it gets enough strength to be pushed out into the ocean.
Yep.
So this is why we have higher rates of cancer, higher rates of autoimmune disorders, such as MS, ALS, Parkinson's, all of these, because we're in an environmental armpit, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Lexi's asking where Jerry is from. She missed the beginning. Hi, buddy. Couple of weeks we haven't seen you. Hi, Deb. There's another one from Deb here.
Debbie says that we're moving towards health warnings being printed on each cigarette.
No. That would be cartoons. I hope cartoons. I wouldn't mind that. Would they use the same ink that they use for acid blotters?
Hey, no. My question is, what'll kill you quicker, the ink?
Oh, sorry, Deb. I muted you. What did you say?
I said, one wonder what'll kill you quicker, Lenny, or Al, the fucking the cigarette or the ink on the cigarette.
Well,
yeah, but here's the thing about cigarettes. Here's the thing about everything. McDonald's cheeseburgers will kill you eventually. Smoking, but you know what? If
McDonald's French fries have a warning on them that they cause cancer in California.
Do they?
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm sure people still fucking buy them that want them.
Of course they do. But any deep fried food, any deep fried food has basically turned that into a carcinogen, but it's such a low amount.
So is charring your food on a barbecue.
Yeah, it turns it into a carcinogen, but
exactly.
I mean, I had a really nice.
So I gotta put a fucking warning on my ribeye steaks now.
Beware, the ribeyes bite back.
No, but again, like people are aware, but you know what? Life is short. Life is what you want to make of it, and let people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
I know he died at 27, but I'm pretty fucking sure Jim Morrison had a good fucking time.
Oh, sure did he ever.
The genius. Oh, and Alexis, who asked, I'm from New Orleans, darling.
Lexi, Jerry is a retired New Orleans police officer. You were just an officer. You weren't a detective or anything?
No, I was on the streets, which I enjoy completely. You know,
so you had a lot of interactions, I'm sure, in communities. Were you in one community for the most part?
When were you there?
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting at. The
you didn't do Bourbon Street area or that area, did you?
Yeah, during Mardi Gras special events.
That's where I was going to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We may have met because I did meet several of your comrades in arms.
Thank you, Alexis.
He was the drunk guy. Remember him? I remember you. You were that drunk guy with the green bottle and that had a funny hat on. I remember you. Do you remember people like that? Like the really strange ones? The old, like there must be some characters that have stuck in your head from those days.
Well, but I mean, if anything, and I'll give you an idea. I mean, me growing up here, born and raised, and I'm glad you brought that up. But, New Orleans obviously has a different culture, a different language. And post-Katrina, what happened is that a lot of the colorful characters have been washed away. And what was brought in? This new wave called gentrification. And so what it is, it's like I tell people, me growing up here, and when I first got back in 2017 after living in Colorado for a decade, it blew me away because, the South is still somewhat segregated. I call it separated by, communities, people of culture, everything else. But what happened is that when Katrina happened, a lot of people were pushed out into other states. They never came back. And then when the city started gentrifying and the people who did want to come back, they can't afford to live here. I mean, to live in New Orleans now, and New Orleans is a poor state. The rents here minimum are like $1,200 to $1,500 a month on up. And so what's happened is a lot of these communities that were known by their tribe, their own people, and people started moving in. And it pissed them off. And that was something that was really an eye-opener for me after growing up here. And, and so the bottom line is that, and then you started getting people, hey, I think it's great. You want to come from another state and you want to join our department, but here's the problem. They're having a nutrition problem because people are leaving. They're staying for 2 or 3 years. They're leaving our department and they're actually going back to their home state. And they're getting that experience leaving compared to when I was on. And if I wouldn't have had my shoulder injuries, I'd still be on today, possibly. Maybe not. But, for me, I mean, New Orleans will always be my home. But, I'm used to the culture and everything else. And, it's not like that anymore. But, my thing is that you'll never meet anybody by driving down the street with your windows rolled up in a patrol car and waving at people. We used to get on out and shoot the shit with people. And that's how you get to know people, and you're given respect to earn that respect, which leads to trust, which actually leads to solving crimes.
Yeah, because you end up with leads and stuff, from people who want to help. Right, and then they're not afraid to talk to you because you talk to them.
Well, but I mean, if anything, and you know what, Al, and it's just the idea that it's like anything else. It's like it's a relationship. Mm-hmm. But once you break that trust, if you ever do, you can forget it. You'll be blackballed in that community, and people won't talk to you, and understandably. And that's why when I was on a department, what it was is that, I more or less looked at the people who were hanging out. I got to know the business owners, and they'd have some people, let's say, hanging outside the grocery store, a group of guys. And I'd ask the owners, everybody cool out here? Oh, yeah, those are regulars, blah, blah, blah. I'd introduce myself. Some of them would be kind of skittish at first. If they were smoking a joint, I'd say, hey, everything's cool. And then when time went on and you're building up that trust, then they'd start giving you information. It's not something that was going to happen overnight.
Yeah, then they start passing it to you, so to speak.
Exactly. And the streets talk. It's like I tell people all the time, the streets talk. And so what it is that the way I looked at everybody on the streets is everybody was my own little piece of intel. They trusted me. I trusted them. There was respect both ways. And that's the way you do good police work. I mean, and I got to be honest with you.
You miss it?
I miss the people. I don't miss a lot of people. Here's another thing, too, that I'll share is that what people need to understand, which I'm sure they already know, is that there's a lot of politics involved. And I kind of like swept that under the rug. Because believe it or not, I mean, I had a rank one time who came up to me and he pulled me on the side because I just got transferred to this district. And he said, man, I'm getting word that you're real radical or something. I said, no, I'm not radical. I said, what it is I don't believe in shitting on people. You know, I mean, I'm cool with people, and if they're cool with me, and whatever it takes in order, let's say, to catch a murderer, a rapist, an armed robbery suspect, you know, I mean, the bottom line is that you got to be fair. You can be fair and stern and meet people, and if people know you're cool, they'll work with you.
Hey, Darcy.
I think I would have been a good detective.
Is it time to bend over yet, Darcy?
No.
You just put the gloves on, isn't it that time?
Oh no, I'm trimming.
I know. I see him put a glove on. It's like,
I think I would have been a good detective. In my previous life, I think I was a detective.
Previous life, you were a detective?
I think so.
I'm a detective every night when I'm dreaming in bed.
There you go.
Yep. It becomes an obsession, you know, because when you start looking up information, when we start looking, like, we're pretty laid back here, but when we have a guest on, we look up information, and it can be very addicting trying to track somebody down and find out what they're really about. You know, especially somebody who is a what I call a medical helper. You know, somebody who's out there just doing their own thing, helping. And there's millions out there. I mean, if you need help with anything cannabis, there's always somebody out there that'll help you. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's worldwide. I mean, we've had guests from Australia, all over the world. Even Rick Simpson's been on the show, and everybody has one constant: if you're there to help somebody, you're there to help somebody. And unfortunately, some people are now starting to dive into that, and they're using it to make more money. And it's
exactly.
a shame.
It is. Well, but I mean, it goes back to, you know, like I said a little while ago. I mean, everything today is money driven. Yep. And, you know, and my biggest concern, I'm sure like yourselves, is that these corporations are lining themselves up along with the banking industry so they can get all of their grubby little paws on everything. And I'm sorry, but I don't want corporate weed. I think this is a way really to bring communities back, you know, by letting people grow, getting to know one another. I think once it just needs to be decriminalized, then I think you'll see a new America. I really do.
Do you think, do you think, I don't know. I don't know if Biden's there. I don't know if that's going to happen for you guys. I mean, we're watching what's going on here and down in the States. And
we don't have it.
No, we don't have it. Everything's fucked up here as far as medical goes anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing a lot of articles now where legacy stores are overtaking the legal stores, and the legal stores are going under, and you know, I mean, it's like, and now you get LPs fighting with LPs and other LPs buying up the little LPs, and it's very corporate. Sorry, Len. It's a very corporate world to be in, and to be honest, when I pat you on the back because I couldn't do it. You know, I could not sit there in that corporate environment that you have to do, buddy, and make that company work.
Yeah, but I'm also not like we're a private company. We're not a.
Yeah, I know that.
But we're not a public company. We're not.
You're not trading
share prices. Like we're just honestly, we're just trying to make a buck, keep people employed.
Yeah.
Keep growing weed. That's
and it's not. But my point was, it's not easy to do because
in the framework the government goes on. But like my day, I'm not talking share price or mergers or or horse shit and doing press release. No, we're about
at Canopy is what I'm.
No, they suck.
Yeah.
Fuck, make me choke.
No, no, and not
true
even
though.
They do suck. Not even those persons. I mean themselves, but just like their whole thing is about a stock price. Their whole thing is about stock.
Yeah, which isn't so fucking good. Anyways,
No, it's that I just have no interest in that world. So like, hey, maybe there's some people that are into it. So I don't. But to me, I wouldn't want to be Canopy or Aurora or even Organigram because every quarter it's about their stock price.
Oh, I don't understand how fucking Oxley Cannabis got Cannabis Venture of the Year.
Oh yeah, but you know what? I'm going to tell everyone a little secret when people I get awards for this or get the
Oh
award
no,
for that.
I said it. I already messaged on their Facebook page. I said it must be nice to buy your award.
No, it's not even that. Any award doesn't matter. Like people like there's awards like Turo Cannabis could be entering for awards. You fucking nominate yourself.
Yeah.
Most of the time,
popularity contest. Guys.
That's right. Most of the
that's
time,
usually what it is.
It's
like
usually
Doctor of the Year, Pharmacist of the Year, like all these stupid fucking awards people put on their Facebook. I got this award, because you nominated yourself.
It's like the podcasts. When you see the podcast listed in all these awards, they're usually voted on by those people that do the podcast.
We advertise our podcast as having Canada's favorite canna couple. Well, I mean, it's in print, so therefore it's true.
It must be.
Wait, but who's decided that?
The person who designed the flyer. Hello.
No, but Chrissy and I could turn around and put down that we're the favorite cannabis couple.
Yeah, we could be me and Marcel could be the favorite cannabis couple. We are the number one talk show.
I always knew it.
Yeah, we're the number one talk show. So.
Well, no, but there's some like you go to a restaurant. Oh, we have the best fish and chips in town. Oh yeah.
McDonald's has sold how many hamburgers and how many people have they killed?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, McDonald's. I love you.
I did that on a Google review one time.
But sometimes
the restaurant said they had the best burgers or something like that, and I went and had the burger, and immediately I had to let Google know that but it's by far not the fucking best burger.
Has anybody tried the biggest, best burger in the world yet? Is that the one you're talking about, Marcel?
No. This was just some restaurant that said they were voted as having the best burgers.
I haven't. I don't think I'm going to try it because it's got pickles.
You don't like?
Have you tried it, Mary Jane?
Pickles, aren't they?
Where do you get this sandwich?
At A&W.
A&W. It's
not Angus. It's a prime rib burger with pickles and sauce.
No.
It's called
I remember
biggest best burger or something.
Like I'm assuming everyone's community has like a taco week or burger week and things like that, and sometimes they'll have people vote and shit like that.
Yeah.
I've seen here. I'm not shitting on anyone, but one of the towns that make a great burger, they weren't invited to be in the contest.
Yeah, it's like
but
it's
someone
like
got best burger. But
it's like the event. They've got a list of social trending people and experts, and I don't know any of them. Like at Lyft, I think Abby was there on the list. I don't remember anybody else that I remember. Do you, Mary Jane?
Yeah, but I've spent the last couple of years meeting a lot more people.
Yeah,
You've
but
I've just been hanging out in the smoking area these past couple of years.
But it used to be you knew everybody. Now you don't. It's
because there's more people in the game now.
I guess so, but it's not a fun
There's
game.
more people in the game. Yeah, that's one way to put it, MJ.
Yeah.
There's more people.
It's
like you wouldn't know everybody if you move from a small town. You know everybody. You go to a big city, you don't know everybody.
But when you go back to that small town, you still don't know anybody because it's been 20 years.
Well, and that's the same thing with the cannabis industry. We've had a lot of people that were around a long time ago, like Jason Wilcox and Michelle Rainey and Tracy Curley. And, the list it's massive.
And.
Yep. So, I mean, nothing is ever the same. We just have to kind of accept it, change it, and move on.
John Vergardis, who used to be the editor-in-chief at Skunk Magazine.
Wow.
Said, you like John, don't you? He's a good guy.
Love you, John.
He made a comment about Tracy just a week or so ago, and it was like instantly, and I said this to Mary Jane at Lyft, There once was a time that at 4:20, it didn't matter what event you were at, you heard Tracy Curley and Amy Brown. Those were the voices you heard. Now
Happy
you don't hear
420.
you don't hear those voices anymore. But Amy walked by, but you know.
Well,
you don't hear those
in all fairness, 420 on the one day at Lyft, they set off a glitter cannon. So they definitely, Amy was over there shouting for sure.
Oh, can I throw something in real quick?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
So I know you went ahead and you brought it up about Biden, but you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, one of the reasons why, America is in this predicament right now, along with all of the other ones on both sides of the aisle. But you know what? Biden came out and he was talking about how he was, one of his platforms was, oh yeah, people shouldn't be in jail for cannabis, blah, blah, blah. And I just think that he ain't going to do nothing. I really don't, And I think that's
how long has he been president for? 2 years?
Yeah.
Too long.
Has it been 2 fucking years already?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be Trump 2020, remember?
Well, it's kind of when COVID. Oh, I guess it was kind of COVID, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, if anything, so nowadays, it's, I can understand, when Trump came out and, timing's everything, but I was like, oh man, you know what? Here we go. And he got elected. But you know what? I'm not a fan of him, but I can understand in a sense why people voted him in is because they're tired of the Bidens, the Clintons, the Bushes, all of these establishment politicians. And Chris Hedges even said this about a dozen years ago. He says, you know what? If America doesn't watch it within the political arena, you're going to get a demagogue that will rise and tell people a lot of the stuff that they want to hear and who doesn't talk with a filter. And what happened? Boom, And I think all of this shit that's going on right now is really a lead up to 2024. And what's going to happen then or 6 months prior, I don't even want to think about it, But I don't think Biden's going to do anything. I think Biden, and not only 79 years old, that's another problem too in American politics. Dianne Feinstein, 88, Chuck Grassley, 88, Patrick Leahy, 86.
Well, we've seen the clips of Biden. Half the time he has no idea where he's doing or what the fuck he's doing or where he is or what he's doing.
Going.
Yeah. He's getting lost. He's got issues. And I think it was the governor from Texas or a senator from Texas that's calling him out and wants him tested.
He'd fail.
Was that? Yeah. I think
he wants Biden cognitive tested to see if he's actually capable of doing this job.
He'd fail.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, but if anything, and that's the other thing too, is that, people now, American politics is really cartoonish. We put people in office now, and I'm going like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who comes out with some of the most off-the-wall shit. Let's see, Boebert from Rifle, Colorado, who actually got her GED right before she got elected. And I'm thinking,
nice.
Yeah. And, here's the other thing too. And, it's like I tell, even though I'm retired police, I'm not down. If you want to divide and conquer, the Republicans have, Blue Lives Matter, the Bible, Second Amendment, Roe v. Wade, and the left has, Black Lives Matter, and, both parties love war. Oh, support our troops. Just America's become a soundbite in a cartoon. That's all it is to me.
Do you ever watch things like old Reagan, old clips of old people running for like Make America? They've been saying Make America Great Again since the fucking 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Every election, Make America, like, it's hilarious.
So then it must have been great back in the 60s.
I think it was like the 50s were the only time America was great, apparently.
Well, I can. Hey, let me share y'all. I'm going to share a story with y'all. I was actually at the state capitol May 24th to testify on 4 cannabis bills, and a senator by the name of Mac Bodie White. Okay. They had 2 people went up. They testified. I thought they were going to call me up because I did want to testify. Man. One of the people giving testimony, who's a retired veteran, this guy fucking went off and told him about you dope smokers, this and that. I was in Colorado. I don't appreciate the way you kind of chuckle at, people who can smell weed coming from somebody's house. And he really went off. Now, granted, they didn't actually need me to testify on that particular bill. And I was sitting down, and as I sat down, somebody tapped me on the shoulder. And he goes, "Oh, we don't need you to testify." He says, "We've already got 4-2 when it comes to the votes. You don't have to worry about it." Then I thought to myself, you know what? Then why the hell am I coming up here wasting my time, gas, and everything else? Because here's my point. What a lot of people need to understand is that when these committees come in session, they've already made up their mind.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't give a damn how much you testify and this and that. They've already made up their mind. And, it's a monopolized, corrupt system. Yet another representative here who actually, I think it died, hopefully, but Representative Joseph Marino put in a bill where people could actually give to political campaign contributions in order to see about getting a license to run a pharmacy. And I'm thinking, well, at least he's honest with his corruption,
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah, really though.
I mean, that's the type of shit that's going on today. And, so what it all boils down to is I think that they've already made up their minds anyway, because a lot of these people actually think like a trustee compared to a delegate. A delegate is one who's supposed to actually vote for his constituent. A trustee is somebody who votes with their conscience. And that's one of the biggest problems. And here's the other thing, too, that I learned by growing up in the South is that religion is truly the death nail of getting anything done in the South when it comes to cannabis. You
should just tell him to actually read the Bible, because he does that. He does say sow seeds.
Yeah.
He doesn't say what seeds, but he does say sow seeds.
Yeah, well, but hey, and I agree, but it's just the idea that what it is here, especially throughout the South, is that people use religion as a control tool to keep people ignorant and uneducated about this magical plant, which I think is criminal within itself,
Would they be evangelicals down there, like down in the South, Marcel?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Big time evangelicals. And let me tell you something. The evil that oozes off of some of these people is frightening.
Scary, isn't it?
I just don't understand how they can justify that what they do is really what they think is right.
What do you mean? Can I remind you of a little bit of history? We'll call it the Crusades.
Yeah, I suppose, Marcel.
I thought you were going to say it's a book. It's called the Bible. Hello.
Yeah. I mean, that's religion has killed more people on the planet than greed. But now greed is catching up and maybe surpassing.
I'm pretty sure COVID beat them all.
Yeah.
Just check with CBC.
Yeah, check with CBC. They'll tell you that more people died from COVID than they died from the Crusades.
Well, I mean, here's a guy right now. I mean, I'll give y'all an example, and it just goes to show you, I mean, if anything, what they'll do is, religion is used. There's a difference, as we know anyway, between laws and justice. They keep these draconian laws on the books in order to keep people locked up for a plant. They got a guy right now. His name is Kevin Allen. Look him up. He's doing life in prison in Angola without the possibility of parole for $20 worth of weed. Is that frightening?
Look at Indonesia, where they killed them for it. Right? I mean,
you know what? The people selling your eighth for $65 should be the one getting life.
Yeah, exactly. But it pisses me off when you think back that it was all based on greed to protect oil and paper industry, to get rid of cannabis. That was it.
Yeah.
And then that all of a sudden turned into protection for the pharmaceutical market, which went haywire because then they could poison all the people in the world and they didn't have any recourse because they couldn't have cannabis.
Yep. It's disgusting.
It is. But unfortunately, CBC won't tell people that, so it's not true.
Nope. I mean, you're correct. I mean, to have people like this and to have these laws on the books, who are the criminals? I mean, it's just
exactly
frightening, you know? And the crime is the crime.
We're coming up to the halfway mark here. Where's Mary Jane? She's hiding in here somewhere.
I'm here.
Why did you make us listen to a song?
Did you find it, Marcel?
Yeah, I listened to it. But as soon as I started listening to it, I didn't do the song. Last show, you kept telling us after the show to go and listen to that song. Why?
What song was it again?
The Beatles.
Beatles, Magic Mystery
Does she even remember telling us that?
Magical Mystery. Oh, for fuck's sakes. I thought there was like some significance to this. It's not a good song. Beatles have way better songs than that.
You know, like Hey Jude.
I Am the Walrus. Cuckoo,
Cuckoo. Yeah.
Guys.
Off that album was Strawberry Fields, and then, I mean, that's
I like that song too.
So have you found something to listen to while we're on a break?
No, because I thought you had the song.
No.
I don't want to get us kicked off of
No,
Facebook.
I don't think that'd be a good idea to play the Beatles on a Facebook stream.
No. What about a cover though?
Hold on. I saved some stuff here to be played on the show. Let me see what I've got here.
Oh, I can't wait for Darcy's Grow segment tonight.
Why, has he got a good one?
Well, I would imagine he's always got something good.
Okay.
But he's got us muted, so he took off. He must be rehearsing.
Oh, I know what I've got. I've got a comedy bit.
I don't have a night.
I got a comedy bit here from somebody that'll piss somebody off. Mr.
Timmy,
George
then.
Carlin. What was that?
So it's not Timmy then.
No. We can play a bit of Timmy sometime, or you could have him come on and do a little comedy thing.
We'll play a video.
You don't.
Time is money. Come on. Let's go to commercial.
Yeah. You're hanging out with Timmy too much there, lady. Okay, where are we here? Share screen. So one of my favorite George Carlin routines is "Have a nice day." So this is the 420 Radio Show. We're live here at 420radio.ca, as well as a whole bunch of other places where you can see us. Hi, how are you? We'll be back in a few minutes with our guest. Yeah.
I don't have a nice day anymore. I don't bother much with that. I think I'm beyond that now. I think I've outgrown the nice day. I think I've had my share. Why should I be hogging all the really nice ones? Let somebody else have a few. Of course, everybody still wants me to have one. Everybody wants me to have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
You want to give me my fucking change, please? I'm triple park.
Some of them are really insistent.
I said have a nice day. All right, goddamn it, all right, I'll give it a shot. That's the trouble with have a nice day. It puts all the pressure on you. Now you've got to go out and somehow manage to have a good time. All because of some loose-lipped cashier. Have a nice day. Maybe I don't feel like having a nice day. Maybe, just maybe, I've had 116 nice days in a row. And I'm ready, by God, for a crappy day. I'll never hear that. Let him wish one of them. Hey, have a crappy day. Thank you, and to your wonderful family as well. Crappy day. Hey, that'd be easy. No trouble at all. A crappy day. Just get up. There's no planning involved for a crappy day. I know what it is that bothers me about that whole thing. It's the word nice. It's just a weak word. It doesn't have a lot of character, you know. Nice. Isn't he nice? Oh, he is so nice. And she's nice, too. Isn't that nice? How nice they are. I don't care for that, you know? It's like fine. There's another word. How are you? Fine. Bullshit! Nobody's fine. Hair is fine. How's your hair? Fine. That makes a lot more sense to me. Some guys are great. You ever meet those guys? Great. Isn't this great? God damn, this is great. Look, they're going to kill that guy. Isn't that great? That's great. No, not me. I'm not nice. I'm not fine. I'm not great. People ask me how I am. I say I'm fairly decent. I don't give them any superlatives, nothing to gossip about. Relatively okay. Sometimes I'll say I'm moderately neato. If I'm in a particularly jaunty mood, I'll say I'm not unwell, thank you. That pisses them off because they have to figure that one out for themselves. So, reminds me of something my first grade teacher used to say to me. Little lady. She used to say, you show me a tropical fruit and I'll show you a cocksucker from Guatemala. No, that was someone else.
You guys seen that before?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
You know what? I tell you though, it's not as funny as it used to be. For instance, I watch Monty Python now and I don't laugh. Although Benny Hill, I always laugh. I love Benny Hill. Dave Allen at Large. Do you remember that one, Marcel?
Yep.
Oh God, he was fucking hilarious. I miss shows like that. Do you have shows like that that are local that you guys have, Jerry?
New Orleans. Well, I can tell you all this. I don't have cable TV. So, I mean, but a lot of times, which is good with YouTube, you know, I can catch a lot of the old shows. But, you know, I mean, one of the things that I refuse to do, especially if I had cable, is I can't believe how people have fallen for Fox and CNN. I'm thinking, oh my. But I mean, it's the perfect way to divide people. You know, you got the right channel, the left channel. And
I don't watch either channel.
Me neither.
I
mean, if
watch
anything, it's
everything online, and I've just recently gotten addicted to Prime and Disney. Although I watch Netflix for the certain shows that I like, but you can watch everything now on Prime that you can watch on Netflix as well, pretty much.
But see, now I've been watching Crave because I watched a series that I never saw before, and I never seen the movie.
There are some good stuff on
show.
There. Yeah.
Catfish.
Catfish. Not heard of it.
What? And I mean, it's probably the best example of how disgusting humans can actually be towards each other. This whole series. I mean, it just gives you an insight on how bad it actually is out there.
Never heard of catfishing before, Al?
Oh.
It's where you steal people's pictures offline and make them pretend that you're some sexy girl or some hot guy that wants to be with them and steal all their money.
And this is a show.
But yeah, and what happened was the guy that does the show, Neve Schumann, had a movie done first called Catfish, and it was the movie about him and what happened to him being taken advantage of over the internet by somebody that was different than she portrayed herself to be. And he tracked her down and found out. And I guess the movie's really good. I haven't seen the movie. I'm going to watch the movie now after seeing the show, because I'd like to see what actually happened to him and how he started this. But this is what he does is basically there's a lot of people that chat with other people on the internet, which is fine. I mean, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
But they actually get to the point where they get involved emotionally with these people. But these people avoid ever letting them actually see them or talk to them. So they get Neve to come and help them. And they track down who the actual person is and then confront them. So it's a really good example of how demented humans can actually be towards each other.
Oh, believe me, I can. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, if you have Crave or you can find the shows, seriously, watch them and see. Take a look and see how bad these people can be.
Oh.
It's a good eye opener. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, you know what? When I joined the department and I got out on the streets, I got to be honest with you. I said, oh my God, when I first started going on a few of my murders and everything, and people have no idea. I mean, they really don't, because what it is in the academy, they try to get you prepared for a week. What they'll do is show you crime scene photos and all of that. But when you get on a true crime scene and you see what all of this damage can be done with these assault rifles and what people do to others with, straight edge weapons, knives, all of that.
Ice picks.
So let me ask you a question. In your opinion, Jerry, what TV show depicts things properly? Like, I'll give you an example, okay? I won't tell you the show until after I hear what you have to say. But when I was in my teens, I was a bad boy, and we were sitting in our cell, and I was talking to the cop, and I said, what show depicts your police department on a daily level? And I think you'll laugh when you hear what it said, but I'd like to hear what you have to say on that.
Okay, well, it's funny you bring that up, but the day before we graduated from the academy, and they said, this is about as close as it may get with some of the calls you will encounter when it comes to armed robbery or domestic violence. Mm-hmm. It was filmed in the 70s, and it was called The New Centurions, the movie.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that.
Watch it. It's very, very good. And it shows you how, what it's like when you go on a call for service and you come in contact with a domestic violence situation. But our instructor told us, he said, we're going to let you watch a New Centurions. You're graduating tomorrow. I'll never forget this. And then what it is, it's kind of like, police work is really a puzzle. You're putting the pieces together, with a crime and all of that, interviewing witnesses, victims. And The New Centurions, if you get the chance, check it out. It's really a good movie, and it's got an all-star cast in it, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the cop told me Barney Miller was the closest to his precinct in real life. Yeah, we're talking the 70s.
Yeah.
So, could have been. I'm sure it's a lot different now, with CSI and
I watch a lot of.
And
I watch a lot
George
of.
C. Scott, Stacy Keach.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Marcel.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now and see if it's available anywhere.
It's probably you probably find it on 123 Movies or something like that. Oops, sorry, I'm not supposed to give out those kind of links.
I could probably find it on Roku though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, but I mean, if anything,
on Roku.
Well, but I mean, if anything, and that's just it. But I mean, it's just the idea. And here's another thing also. I'll never forget when the lady came in with human resources to get our paperwork together for our, and health insurance and life insurance and all of that. And I'll never forget what she told us. She said, you know what? The city of New Orleans is training you to become an investigator. Okay. The people of New Orleans are training you to investigate crimes. When I took an oath to the Constitution, got on out there. But this is where things have really taken a bad paradigm shift, is that it goes back to how society's been commodified. And it's like we've actually gone back. To me, this is the new civil rights era. Everything that's going on today, and you definitely the world's changing every day. And now I just find that police work reminds me of like a Grand Theft Auto video game. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Would you go back? If they said,
would I go back?
Harry, come back to the force. Would you go back?
No.
No.
Because what it is nowadays, I mean, it's going to take years in order to get that trust back.
Yeah.
From community to community. And it's just the idea that, like I was saying, I'll give you all an example. When I first got out and I was with my field training officer and I was on a night watch in the 5th District here.
That was the 90s, yeah?
That was in the 90s. That was back in 95. And one of the complainants who called us, I knew the guy. And he and his girlfriend got into a little tiff. And here's another thing, too, that people need to remember is that we had a lot more discretion back then, okay? And that's why, like I was saying, I wasn't into the war on drugs and all of that shit. A crack pipe, throw it down a sewer drain, everything else. But here's the problem. I mean, all you got to do is just go back 50 years. In 1972, the prison population in America was 300,000. Now it's like 2.3 million.
Yeah.
So mental health, addiction, and homelessness has now become criminalized as a distrust in the community with the police.
Plus all of the people that are still there from the 60s and 70s demonstrating against the war, people like Leonard Peltier and Peltier, I think it is. They're being held past there's a lot of people in the U.S. that are being held past their sentence.
Sure.
Leonard served his sentence probably 30 years ago now, but he's still being held in jail. They hold people under the RICO Act in the same way, right?
Yeah. Well, but I mean, if anything, and that's just it. And the way I look at it now, which is really scary, as we know, unfortunately, is because, people's rights, you know what it all boils down to is that y'all touched on it earlier. Everything today is fear-driven. That's why I think you got so many people today who are arming themselves and everything else. I mean, revenue for the gun manufacturers is going sky high. I mean, it's just everything now, it seems like, is based on fear. So if you want to control a society and take away their rights little by little, you just make them become more and more fearful. And before you know it, they ain't got shit left, No, and that's the problem today, not only here, but throughout the world. If you vilify somebody else and you become scared of them and you start arming yourself to the teeth and it's kind of like the thing that gets me with Roe v. Wade, okay? Why didn't the Democratic Party actually codify Roe v. Wade, make it precedent, would have been law, it would have been over it. You know, it would have been law on the books. So I'm waiting to see exactly what's going to happen with that when the true opinion comes down. I know they had something that was leaked, but I think that's going to create a lot of shit too. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on, as we know.
And then there's stuff that should be going on that isn't talked about.
I was just
right? Like
don't talk about that.
Yeah, but I would really love to see the list that Maxwell's got. Right? The Epstein list.
Dwayne Maxwell, absolutely.
Make that
That's not
public.
gonna
Why aren't
happen.
we seeing that shit?
That's not the program they want us paying attention to.
That's right. No.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be paying attention to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff.
That's right. They want us to watch
the Capitol Hill trial.
Yeah.
No, it was on every channel last night.
The what one?
What?
The Capitol, the January 6th Capitol Hill riot trial.
Oh yeah, the riot crap. Now see that's what's going to take over on the U.S. media is that whole thing, right? So anything to deflect from
the truth,
the truth, and what's actually really important. But if you don't
like
know
UFOs.
Yeah, but they're releasing that information now finally.
But nobody's actually talking about it. Like,
I want to talk about them. Let's talk.
No, I'm just kidding. We don't have to talk about it now.
I'd like to talk to one of them.
Hey, although they say it might be, I watch stuff on the History Channel every once in a while, and they're saying UFOs actually might be secret military operations that are happening.
From other planets.
I have a question for Darcy.
Yo.
Are you got some gross stuff to talk about tonight?
Well, I can always talk about gross stuff. Yeah. Don't.
Hey, this is Cheech. And this is Chong. And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio. What is it? Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time. 420 Radio? Woo!
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Are you an independent musician? How would you like to have your songs played on hundreds of radio stations just like the one you're listening to right now? Join MusicSubmit.com and we'll promote your music to radio stations and blogs in your genre. It's free to set up your account, and we guarantee your music will be considered for airplay by radio stations worldwide. Why not sign up today? It's free. MusicSubmit.com. Radio promotion for indie musicians.
This is how we grow the weed.
I apologize. That was premature button pushing.
No problem.
Wow.
That was actually perfect.
Was it?
That was a great laugh for me.
Hi,
I
Dale.
love that.
How are you? And I just heard you squeaking.
All right, Darcy, let's hear the grow segment, buddy, because I want to learn.
Well, I was going to say, first off, don't plant a whole bunch of plants and then you have to move. That's really
Well, okay, yeah. You know, I'm right there, buddy. I'm not going to plant them until I get there.
Yeah, don't do it. 'Cause now you got to transport 4 and 5 foot plants around, and that's a lot harder to do than a whole bunch.
Now, okay, so that's a good. Oh, here's a question:
I did that one time.
Is that legal to do, Darcy? Can you legally move that?
We've looked it up, and you can only transplant up to 4 plants that are not in flowering, or only 1 plant that is in flowering.
Huh.
Yeah, so
under the recreational laws of cannabis.
So one big plant.
But that's recreational. What about?
But if the plant's flowering, you can only have 1. But if it's in veg, you can have 4.
So,
technically, you wouldn't be able to move them because you're not taking them to your new grow location. Well, your new grow location, unless you were really smart and knew you were moving 6 months beforehand, you're not going to know. So therefore, when where you're taking them plants,
oh no, this is your 4 recreational plants that you can take.
Yeah, but MJ asked me about medical. She said, "What if they were your medical plants?"
I asked medical.
Only if you have your license.
I'm allowed 49 plants, MJ, but So I'd have to rent a U-Haul truck, but I don't want to be stopped in that U-Haul truck because they're definitely taking
Then
my
we'd
plants.
be talking about them on the next week on the show.
Yeah, well, they're definitely taking your plants from you. You'd have to get a lawyer. Good chance, you'd likely get off with no charges, but if getting your plants back or getting compensating for them, you're likely shit out of luck on that one.
Wow.
Bad time
Unless you have a really good lawyer friend.
If you're a medical patient and you're moving your medical garden and you've already made arrangements through Health Canada by sending them notice that
You
this
can
is going to
you
be your
can
new
fast track
address.
it. You can fast track it. can you
It's not even that. I honestly think that because of the bureaucratic nightmare that is Health Canada and medical cannabis, that as soon as you sent notice that you were going, that any court is probably going to say, yeah, fine, not an issue. You gave ample notice that you were moving at this date. The onus was on them.
Well,
so I think
we've always said at the beginning of this whole process that once the doctor's ink hit that piece of paper and they sign yes,
yeah,
you've been cleared for medical use, and that doesn't go away. It's
That's
not
right.
something, oh no, you can't use that anymore because we don't have a piece of paper. So technically, in the eyes of the law, I would think that a judge, knowing what he's doing or she's doing, would agree that, hey, wait a minute. They're already medical. Why are you even bothering with this shit? Just because of an address change?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know about that one, MJ, but yeah, I would be very careful on the medical end. I mean, yes, you likely could get off with it and maybe get compensated, but
Do you want to go that route? Is the
I
thing.
don't want to go through all that, so I'll slowly move 1 or 2 plants at a time because they're
4.
Yeah, or 4, but I don't think I.
Well,
fit
if
4
you're
in
in
Kia.
veg, if they're in veg, 4.
Yeah, but I don't think I could fit 4 in my Kia, Marcel.
So I could literally take 4 cuttings or
I have a
with
question.
me when I move up
Yes.
north, and there's not much they can do about it.
Right.
As long as they're
Darcy,
not.
you said you have a Kia. That means
Yes.
it's got a short roof.
Yeah.
How do you move plants that are taller than the roof of the car?
Bend them.
You can bend them over, but be careful because some stalks, especially if you're in a really windy area, those stalks are going to be really sturdy and stiff. They will bend, but they're going to be a lot sturdier and stiff than something that's not getting a lot of blunt wind force to say.
Move the seats forward and put them on the floor behind the
That's
front
what I'm going to do with
passenger.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that ability. I tried to move 4 of them 2 weeks ago, and they were scraping the ceiling, and now I got another 4 I need to get rid of, and I don't know how they're going to fit in the car.
Well, you could cut tops off them.
Oh, but what does that do when I give it to my friend?
They
Maybe
grow
you gotta have more tops.
They grow out 4 new tops.
Instead of 1.
But it still grows tall, right?
Oh, yeah,
hell
it'll still
yeah.
push out. You got to remember, you still got a long. I've had my plants outside for over a month now, and you still got a long time before your plants are going to hit flower.
Okay,
they're
so
gonna-
I
they're-
can.
they're
They're not
grow
going
a
to
lot.
start flowering
I can
until
cut
August.
it. I
Yeah.
can cut it and then save the top and reroot it.
Yep.
Sure can.
Make
That's
sure.
what I
make
do
sure,
to every plant.
Make sure you got some wet paper towel on hand or a pop bottle with some water in it.
Yeah, because if you cut it and don't do it right away, those fuckers don't root.
No, you got to get it. Like, I literally have a dish of water that as soon as the cutting is cut, it's in the dish
Put
of
it in
water.
the water.
Yeah, I have a cup of water. That's what I do.
Yeah. When you cut the top off the plant, it bushes the plant out more.
Okay.
So
I was
it
just
creates-
worried it was like, if you chop off somebody's legs, they don't grow.
No, but so what cannabis does when you chop off one of its legs, it grows 4 new ones, and when you cut off those 4, then it grows 16 new ones.
Okay.
So you can literally, and this is
So you can make
basically
a big bush.
That's what I
Yeah.
do with my grimace.
And a sea of green is literally like a scrog, not a sea of greens. A scrog is literally doing that, stretching the plant out as it grows, cut it off, create more new branches to cover a larger area.
Which I would just like to tell our listeners who don't know, scrog is screen of green versus sea of green.
Right, where you let the plant grow up
Thanks, MJ.
to the screen, and then you spread it out from there. So you can take a 6 foot tent and put one plant in that tent and do
fill
a
the whole
screen,
space.
do a scrog, and fill that whole space.
Okay.
It's just a matter of how long do you want to veg for.
So I shouldn't feel bad when I chop the top of the plants tomorrow if I need to.
Never.
No.
Never.
Good to know.
You should feel bad.
Sorry, Rachel. I'm chopping their heads off.
So are these from seed?
No.
They're clones.
Well,
Oh, they're really gonna
originally from seed. Not anymore. They've been cut and cut and cut.
All right.
what
So
you got
you
is a
got.
clone.
So what you got was a clone,
Mhm.
and then you're now taking that clone and give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that mother plant that clone came from has been bushed out.
To produce more clones.
No, that mother plant is dead.
Oh well, if you kept it alive.
I
So
can't keep it alive because it gets too tall, and then I kill it. Well, I flower it. I can't say I kill it.
Flower it out.
Yeah, I do.
I need to send you some
So
seed.
I put my mother's outside. As soon as I'm done taking the clones off that I want, my mother's have been outside for a few weeks now. Right?
Yeah,
So
And
you're
I'll let them
flowering
grow.
them out. You're not going to bring them back in.
No, I'll finish the strain off this year. But I'll at least flower out the mothers. And because I cut clones off of them, I have many, many bud points.
Yeah, and because
So I'll grow lots and lots and lots of buds.
did you? So I got a question, Marcel. How's your flapjack growing? Bushy as fuck, eh?
I don't know which one is the flapjack.
It was the one. It was the one you brought home the last time in the 1 gallon pot. The little black 1 gallon pot, kind
That
of
was
purplish
pink.
color leaf.
That was Pink Kush.
No. It was the one in the 1 gallon pot. That was the one in the 5 gallon pot.
Did you mislabel your plants?
Nope. I know exactly where every plant is in my yard.
No, I mean if Marcel.
Yeah.
He said it was Pink Kush.
Yeah, no, that flapjack, it's distinguishable, man. It would have the biggest, fattest indica leaves that you've likely ever seen.
That's the one you told me was the Pink Kush.
No,
That's what it's labeled as.
No,
I even asked you about the Pink Kush the other day, and you said, "Oh yeah."
That's hilarious.
Do you know how to grow, Jerry?
No, I mean, I'd love to learn. I mean, I'm like everybody on the panel. I enjoy learning.
Don't listen to Darcy, because he's going to give you the wrong plant name.
No, it won't, Marcel. Just stone and forget stuff.
Well, Kevin, that's the other thing too. That's the reason why I really and truly believe that it's not legal here in the States, is because it's becoming sufficient. I mean, it's crazy. I was actually messaging back and forth with a guy yesterday via Facebook Messenger, and he's an attorney over in Mississippi. And I told him, I said, to me, growing cannabis is no different than growing tomatoes, oranges, bell peppers. You should be able to grow as much as you want. Do you know he stopped talking to me? And I'm thinking to myself, because he's in the game,
Oh yeah,
And,
without cannabis charges, then he doesn't have a job.
yeah, I mean, it's such bullshit, and I stick to it. I mean, anything that saves children, save the mother of a son from having to take chemotherapy or radiation, all nutraceuticals with stage 2 stomach cancer. I mean, the crime is the crime. And I got to say, Harry Ensling, I just recently started reading a book by Johann Hari called Chasing the Scream, The First and Last Days of the War on Drugs. And very good. Very good. Goes into detail. And, I had no idea how much Harry Ensling had a deep, deep hatred for Billie Holiday. And the thing that really sealed the deal with cannabis prohibition, if a lot of people don't know this, was actually Ybor City, Tampa, Florida, was the Victor Licata case, who killed his mother and father and his 3 siblings with an axe. And, people bought the bullshit with the reefer madness, and they came on out and said that he was addicted to marijuana cigarettes. And I'm thinking to myself, it's bullshit. The whole war on a plant is just, unconscionable in my opinion. It really is. It's crazy. And tell me, how much can y'all grow there? I'm talking about as an individual resident.
4 plants.
4 plants.
That's it?
Yeah. Medical. If you do medical, for every 1 gram is 4 plants indoors, Marcel?
5.
For every
5.
I have.
It's 5 indoor, 2 outdoor.
6 plants outdoor for 3 grams a month or day.
It's a weird algorithm how they've got it set up.
There used to be a calculator, but I don't think it was.
Well, yeah. Most people, the
calculator
average,
was
the
accurate.
entry is 5 grams, right? So with 5 grams, if you decide to grow outdoors, you can have 10 plants. If you decide to grow indoors, you can have 25 plants. Which to me doesn't make sense because, yes, I know you can technically grow bigger plants outside, but you're only getting 1 season to grow, whereas indoor growers get the entire year.
6 seasons.
Yeah.
Well, 3.
Depending. You can get 4. I used to get 4.
You can run four crops a year. You're really pushed it. You're working your guts out, especially if you've got a bigger license, right?
One of the things,
if you have a 10 gram a day license, that's 49 plants indoors.
That's what I have.
Right? Or 19 plants outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could. Yes,
but
you
that's
could run
not
4
19
crops.
full. That's not full size plants. That includes every seed that's popped, everything that's rooted.
You only need to finish 19 plants.
I know what you're saying.
But if you're cutting plants and you want more babies, how many cuttings are you going to take?
Well, how many are you allowed to have?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I was allowed to have 49 plants. I never had 49 plants. I got pretty close at like 45 with a bunch of cuttings one time.
But that was at an indoor license.
Yes.
Right. So let's say you have a 3 gram license a day. That's 15 plants indoors.
Mm-hmm.
You could run 2 mothers and 13 plants. And you could split those 13 plants into 2 crops. So while one is vegging, one is flowering.
But you have no room for cuttings.
I understand what you mean, but I don't think any judge is going to convict you when you show them how diligent and properly you're treating your medicine, is going to convict you for having cut clones that are waiting to have roots.
Just remember, if they're not over 3, as I found out from going to court, if they're not over 3 inches, they're not considered a cannabis plant.
Really?
Yep.
I wonder how men feel about that.
I don't know. I feel bad for them.
That they're not a cannabis plant?
That's funny.
Yeah.
The only time a man does not go up, like over exaggerate when it comes to size, is when it comes to the size of their boat when they're going through the locks, because you have to pay more the bigger it is. So they're always like, "Ooh, it's a little bit small."
So let's change the subject to some Canadian cannabis news.
It was a boat joke. See? I got the boat.
What happens when you date a comedian?
I want to talk about some cannabis news out of Toronto.
Yes.
Everybody's familiar with
my favorite Toronto store.
Everybody's familiar with Cafe.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Let's tell the story though.
What happened? What did I miss? Oh my god.
Well, Cafe was an illegal chain of dispensaries.
I'll send you the link, Mary Jane.
That kept staying open. So as soon as they get busted, they just reopened.
Yeah, well, it wasn't as simple as that.
They were the ones that the police came and put those big cement blocks in front of on the sidewalk, right?
Oh, I sent it.
Charged the property owner. So Mos and I'll apologize if I say this wrong, Galekani, and I'm just going to call him Mosin from now on. got 6 counts of allowing his property to be used for unlawful sale of weed, were acquitted. He was charged under the Ontario's Cannabis Control Act, which makes it illegal for a landlord to knowingly permit a premises to be used to sell illegal weed.
Yeah, they changed that when things went legal.
Right. Which
because
means
it used to be they could not go up into a residence.
Right.
That's why they
well,
did it.
That's because they were trying to get people to stop selling weed. They thought they could scare the people into stop selling weed. But when they realized they couldn't do that, then they went after the property owners.
That's right. So, but then the police came along and they put those big concrete blocks in front of the building.
Yeah.
Right,
And
because he had a ground floor condo unit that he was renting to these guys.
That's right. So they just put a little doorway. They ended up the Front Street store that they're talking about in this article at one time had a mural across the front of the store of a picture of the actual front of the store that they put on the bricks.
Yeah, the concrete.
I used to go there, so I
like
saw
cover
it.
the store, we'll cover your bricks.
It was absolutely hilarious, but they've been continued running. I mean, you could go into a cafe right now, and they've
So
good coffee.
let me go back and explain what happened here and why he was acquitted of these charges.
Yes.
Right? Because he knowingly knew that this was an illegal operation that was going on, blah, blah, blah. And this is, in her ruling Wednesday, the Justice of the Peace, Rhonda Roffey, said that while much of his testimony did not ring true or seem deliberately vague, the evidence was still that the mortgage broker and property investor took the only reasonable steps that were available to him under the circumstances, given Cafe's determination to float the law. Cafe have proven that they would go to any lengths to keep their business open, Roffey said in her decision. Each and every time that police laid charges and emptied the premises of employees and products, Cafe was able to reopen and continue to operate. So literally there was nothing the landlord could do with these people when they were blatantly doing this against the police, where the police would have been his only recourse.
Yes.
Right?
So, one dozen than the other.
So he was acquitted of all 6 charges, and I think that's perfectly the way it should have been.
Well, I hope this sets precedents moving forward for all other landlords to quote this
Yes,
one.
exactly. Because, I mean, if the tenant's paying the rent, do you have the grounds to evict them just because somebody says so? Is what it boils down to.
Cafe has been around for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
They're one of the best places to go.
Oh yeah.
And if they're a long-term tenant, then you're always going to side with your long-term tenant if you're smart.
I believe they're still in that unit.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. I know they have a store on St. Clair. They have one downtown, and they have the front. Is it Front Street or not Front Street? Fort York.
There's one on some weird street name too.
Let me see here.
Starts with an H.
So there are other landlords for Cafe's location on Harbor Street, Bloor Street.
Harbor. That's the one.
There it is.
And St. Clair Avenue.
Yes.
Who are facing similar provincial charges. So there's the precedent's been set.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, Ali Gilani, is in mid-trial, and the other 2, both numbered companies, are scheduled to go on trial in the fall.
I used to go to the one on St. Clair. It's a really nice thing. You walk in and it looks like an actual cafe. I think you've been there, right, Mary Jane?
No, I went to the one on Harvard. Same thing. I'm a stoner, and even I was confused when I went in there. I was like, am I in the right spot?
I know. You walk in and it looks like a freaking cafe.
Do I have to order coffee?
Exactly.
No, I think
they did it really well.
I've brought it up many times because at one point that was the only place I could go once I stopped helping Paula at the lounge. When they shut us down, I came.
It's the only place my dad gets his shit from, and he's been
He
getting
still goes there?
cafe for years.
You know what?
Yeah.
Tell your dad to go to. No, okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Jerry, what's the population in New Orleans?
Right at around 350,000.
That's it.
300. That's
Yeah,
it.
but
That's
well,
locals.
But
yeah,
does that include like Albions and other surrounding areas, or is that just New Orleans that you're talking?
that's just Orleans Parish itself. We're but around 350, 375, something like that. But here's the problem also, is that the paradigm shift in New Orleans, when I brought up about gentrification, is that property taxes here have gone through the roof. I mean, you got people now paying, and I'm not exaggerating, some people are paying $3,000, $4,000, $7,000, $10,000 a year in property tax. And that's not including insurance.
Well,
Flood and homeowners insurance has increased big time.
Yeah, that's to pay for hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
No, what I was
Well,
wondering is the number of dispensaries you have compared to Toronto. Toronto's got 300 cannabis dispensaries, or
we've
over
only got
300.
nine. We got nine dispensaries throughout the whole state for 4.5 million people.
Holy.
Yeah. So you tell
Are
me
there
whether
any-
or not.
Are there
Huh?
any down with the bars on Bourbon Street and that? Do they allow smoking on the street?
That's where the cat's meow is, isn't it?
Yeah, the cat's meow is on Bourbon Street. But here's the other thing too, and that's, you know what? I actually reached out to the council president here on the city council, Helena Moreno, and I brought up an idea. I've always been fascinated with Storyville, which was regulated prostitution here in New Orleans from 1897 to 1917. So I went ahead. It's already decriminalized in New Orleans. You can have up to a pound. Okay. And I sent her an email, and I told her, I said, you know, Miss Moreno, here's an idea. I said, but you know what? It's going to be a gutsy call, but what you do is, why not either zone all of Orleans Parish or particular areas of Orleans Parish? I'd say the whole Orleans Parish, let people grow. And this way, don't legalize it, regulate it, let people grow. You could actually decrease some of the taxes here, and everybody would prosper. And I think that really New Orleans would go through a renaissance.
You know,
But to answer your question about Bourbon Street, I mean, it's crazy because what's really wild is you smell more weed here than I ever did, no joke, in Colorado. And I voted on Amendment 64 and watched that idea blossom into a revolutionary movement. And it's just the idea that, you know, I mean, to me, the southern states are really sitting on a gold mine if they would do it right. And I think New Orleans has got an opportunity to really give itself a shot in the arm to where it could be reborn. Because now the problem in the French Quarter, I mean, it's disgusting. All of these old architectural buildings and everything, they got people coming in and tagging them with graffiti, and it's disgusting. Homeless everywhere. I mean, it's just, they don't have proper treatment for people the way they should. I mean, as we know, it's not only here, it's all throughout the country. And I think New Orleans is really sitting on a golden opportunity. So like I was saying, I emailed her and I let her know. I said, you know, why not just zone Orleans Parish and buck the system? But here's the problem. Today, you don't have politicians who have guts. They're only thinking about their wallets. And it just becomes status quo for them, you know? But no, I mean, New Orleans could really be cool if they had smoke lounges and you could go into the history of New Orleans.
Everywhere should be. We've lost our lounges. We're not allowed to have lounges anymore. We
That's
never
crazy.
were allowed to have them. They just let us be for a long time. But I mean, in Ontario, we're not allowed to have them. Other provinces, I don't know. Marcel, I know BC's thinking about it.
Does Iggy still have his shop, Marcel?
Who?
Does Iggy still have his shop?
I don't know.
If
he does,
his shop in BC.
Be running it as a private club, maybe.
That's the thing. A lot of times you don't know about these places, right?
Yeah.
Unless
I
you
went
remember.
to his shop a couple times. It's nice atmosphere.
We need places like if people who drink have a place to go, and people who smoke cigars have a place to go, people who have use hookahs have a place to go, but the pot smokers, we can't, because we know it helps you.
It
And we
stinks
don't
out.
want that. And
It
it's
stinks.
well, so does hookah.
So does everything.
Well, you can consume outside on
That's
the
right.
patio
Anywhere
as
in
long
Ontario.
as long as they don't have a liquor license. So now you're asking an establishment
Yes.
to choose between cannabis
Between
consumers
their liquor
or
or cannabis.
alcohol consumers,
Yeah.
and they know that a cannabis consumer will just go to the sidewalk. They'll
Now,
drink their beer, but they'll go
yeah.
to the sidewalk.
Technically, if you can smoke a cigarette, you can smoke cannabis.
In
Technically.
Ontario.
In Ontario.
That's not the same if you go to Nova Scotia.
No.
Or is it
Where-
New Brunswick? I
No,
can't
Nova
remember.
Scotia, you're allowed in the designated smoking areas. So
Yes, thank you. Designated smoking areas. But when you travel from Ontario and you only have a rental vehicle and you can't smoke in your rental vehicle, you have to drive to this location and sit in this little fucking area that they're like, oh, it's
Yeah,
okay
like
to
Quebec,
stay here, but you can't cross the
smoke
road.
in public in Quebec, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know. I was doing it anyways.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. In Ottawa, you were too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we
it's
stayed in Gatineau thinking
You know
it was
what?
cheaper, but Gatineau is still Quebec. That was
We-
when I went to the Walmart and I couldn't even buy a fucking pair of underwear because I didn't have my vaccine. How fucking stupid is that? Because the
We've got-
government decided that underwear is non-essential.
We've got 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure that you're right, Mary Jane. And I remember those conversations. We had many of them. I want to give Jerry a little bit of time to tell people where they can get a hold of him if they want to hear more about what he has to say. And I follow Jerry. He follows us. So, when something new happens in his life, I hear about it.
Well, I really appreciate it. I mean, hey, I'm on Facebook. You can look me up under my name. You'll see me, my picture. I mean, if anything, I appreciate the opportunity tonight. And I don't know. I mean, it's just the idea. I was telling somebody just recently, I said, you know what you need to do? And I'm serious. I'd do it. Give me about 1 million seeds and I'd walk around and just start throwing the seeds like crazy.
We've had campaigns here like that. Yeah. Dana Larson's good at that.
Ed Rosenthal's doing one now.
Is he?
Yeah, million seed giveaway.
MJ, have you ever actually taken a handful of seeds and just started dumping them? Did you get into that?
I don't want to say anything, but there's a
Why?
garden here in the place where I live.
She doesn't want to
that
say
they
anything.
Just
but the
planted. They
garden.
just. I'm not gonna say
Come up.
where or anything, and if you know where it is, say nothing. But they just planted a bunch of flowers, and everybody can see it when you drive past my town. So my plan is to go and take a handful because they just planted them, right? So they're gonna make sure that they water them really well to make them grow really good. So I'm gonna take because I've got a bunch of those. Are they Freedom? Is that what they were called from?
CBD.
They're actually CBD.
Yes, yes. I just want to see them growing.
Yeah.
Hey, just remember them so-called spot. That so-called spot. Is it landscaped a lot, MJ?
It is, but in order to get to them, you're going to have to destroy all of the work that they did to that massive garden. And the way they plant it from the top down.
Oh,
It's like a massive artwork thing, installation. I've already said
so they don't go back. So they must mulch it so they don't have to weed it.
I just want to remind you, Jerry is a cop.
X.
I'm learning. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm learning. I mean, if anything, you know how I feel. I mean, I just think it should all be legal and you should be able to grow. And I mean that from the heart because like I was saying, you know, when I watched my ex-wife not have to deal with friggin' chemotherapy and radiation, and, you know, here I am, it saved my life, and it gave me a completely new life. And, you know, but there was a lot of collateral damage in a way, unfortunately, and I take full blame for that. But, you know, it's just the idea that the crime is the crime. And it's like I tell a lot of people also is that I've educated other policemen I know And I'll tell them all the time. I said, you know what? This is all bullshit. When I tell them both sides of my story about how it affected a mother and father, she and I, and they're blown away by my ex-wife's story. I said, I'm telling you, this is all lies. This is all bullshit by the federal government. And then not only that, but the police are being used for big banks, big corporations to lock people up, you know, for attorneys to make money, judges to make money. Everybody's got their friggin' hand in a cookie jar, you know? And that's what's really disgusting. You know, believe me, there's a lot more shit that they could track down compared to somebody smoking a joint on the street.
Yeah.
And you know, it's crazy. Wait, what?
I said, yeah, it's called pedophiles.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, and Ghislaine
Speaking of
Maxwell,
pedophiles, we should like. I would like to see that Epstein Maxwell list.
I thought about that too. As soon as you said pedophile, I was like, "Yep."
Yeah,
I'd like to see the
Can
list.
we talk about the fact that Bill Gates' wife just left him last year because of his direct connection with Epstein? And why are we still taking medical advice from a software specialist?
Exactly.
Anyways, I just want to point out to all of our
The better
viewers,
one.
if you
The
do,
better question is,
okay,
why would you let a software specialist inject you with a vaccine?
Exactly.
well, I just want to jump in and point out to all of our viewers, if you do want to look for Jerry on Facebook, he's under Gerald. Sneaky,
Correct.
sneaky.
Yeah, maybe
I
he
still
didn't want
found
to be
you.
known. Maybe
There
he
you
didn't
go.
want that to be public.
Too bad. You cannot hide from me.
Not at all, my darling. Not at all. You got it. Good detective work.
If you do a Google search on him,
I
you'll
don't
get,
have my
you'll get that link.
I don't have my Law and Order sound effect.
That's funny. I was actually trained. I used to search for people because I worked for this like cash store, and they were very serious about getting their money back. When people
Yeah, them
didn't
guys
pay
are.
them, so they gave me some really good training.
Like
So
them repo guys from that rental place that used to get the VCRs from. What was it called?
rent to own.
Rent to own place.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you right quick, Jerry. How are repo men looked at in Louisiana? 'Cause I watch a TV show and they don't be they're not liked very well.
They're not liked anywhere.
I don't think.
No, not
Nobody likes a
really.
guy coming to take your shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Not
you
too
know you're
well, to be
behind.
honest with you, Darcy.
Yeah,
Not at
no.
all.
Now, if I'm repo, I say I got a call, I gotta go. The collector says, "Go get me this vehicle." Now I'm in deep shit because this guy's got a gun pulled on me because I'm way back in the swamp. Are the police going to actually come help me, or are they just going to tell me, "Well, you got yourself into that shit, get yourself out"?
No, I mean, if anything, what it is, it's originally a civil matter. You're doing a job in order to repossess a vehicle. However, it becomes a crime when a guy pulls a gun out on you because you're trying to do your job. And yes, the police would come out. They should. That's aggravated assault.
Okay.
Are you
Yeah.
thinking of starting a new line
On
of work
the
there, Darcy?
unfortunate side, by the time they get there, you're already dead because
Getting in the
they had
swamp.
10 murders this week there. So
Yeah.
just to keep you abreast of what's going on. Repo
They've
men
already
must
had
be
3
scared.
today.
Yeah, repo men must be scared to death right now to go and repo anything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if anything, especially, I mean, I really and truly believe that America is just one big mental institution. I mean, just people have wigged out. I mean, seriously. But,
Oh,
you know,
don't
that's
worry, we see it here.
Huh?
We see it here as well.
Oh, I believe it. So, I mean, if anything, so it's kind of less, the wave is going on over there too, huh? Y'all are getting the shocks as well from the States, huh?
Yeah, Canadians are no longer nice.
Yeah, we're
There's no
kind
more
of losing
sorry.
our friendliness.
I'm sorry.
But it's kind of like we've
Sorry.
been kind of put under a dictatorship, it seems.
Sorry.
Fuck. even
And
the
people are really
EU
losing their patience.
Hey,
even other countries have said how like dictatorship our fucking country is right now.
Hey, don't we
Yeah,
don't we have Fidel Castro's son in power?
Yeah.
Yeah. We basically became one of the friendliest nations in the world that everybody wanted to come and visit and be friends with.
As long as you toe the line.
Now it's the grumpy old men.
No,
up
but
north.
the way it used to be that other countries, they would love to send tourists to Canada, and they would love to come. They're afraid now to go to Canada because over the last few years, Canada's become fucking retarded.
Jesus.
And again, there's that word I don't like using, but there's
Retarded,
no
Marcel.
better.
There's the new one. Detarded.
We can't even
They're
travel.
detarded.
We can't
it's
even travel
ludicrous.
freely through the country right now. Our own country.
No, and I mean
You
we
can
can get
now,
into.
can't you?
No, travel things have still not been dropped, not until June 30th.
Haven't you seen the lineups they've had at the airports now?
Which is funny because it was like the government is working with airports to try and reduce wait times at airports. How about dropping restrictions? That would
Yeah.
speed things up.
The whole COVID screening crap could end. I mean, COVID, 99.9% chance you'll live, but but here, shove this up your nose to make sure that you haven't got it, because you want to be that. You want to make sure you're in that 99.99% that'll live.
Yeah.
Hey, Darcy, there's a
Yo.
message there for you.
Oh.
Someone's creeping your neighborhood. You're gonna have to be going
In
out
the
there with a
driveway?
gun. I mean, without. No, I didn't say that.
If they're in the driveway, yeah.
I don't know. I'm doing a radio show. See, I'm not in my window.
How
Get the
quiet's that
gun,
22?
Darcy.
What's that?
Did that cop move in next door?
Not yet.
Oh shit!
Not
You got to
June
make friends with
30th.
him.
Yeah, not
You got to
June
make friends
30th.
with him so he takes care of your plants.
Oh no! Well, hopefully I'm still here then. But I don't know. I'll have to check that one out, Mr. Man.
You should check.
There's a bunch of girls on the corner.
Nice. Well, I'm definitely going to get out there now.
No.
No.
On that note, it's time to say goodnight.
Good night.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Later.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
You're always
for
welcome
coming.
anytime. Come on,
Jerry.
sit in anytime you're bored, buddy.
Appreciate it big time. I really do. And hey, I'm definitely going to take y'all up on that invite and see y'all again.
All right, Jerry.
Love
take
it.
care. Everybody
care.
else, have a good night. We're here next week. This is the 420 Radio Show. Take care.
Good night.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.